I stay there in a corner and I feel shame and I feel I don't belong. I feel that everybody's weird, or am I weird? And it completely destroyed my confidence in myself. And I'm like, do I even belong?
Do you want a hug? You having some existential crisis there on the dance floor, bro. I feel you.
You got married.
The whole thing about giving your power away to involve a third party, that never resonated with me.
How did it change you, I guess?
You have to understand it's probably one of the most intense experiences of my whole life as well.
You are a doctor who became an ecstatic dance DJ, which is as weird as it gets. If you create like a weird movie.
Sometimes now I'm DJing, there's 200 people on the dance floor and I'm feeling insecure.
You got married. Big congrats, man.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
just got married.
Yeah.
How is it?
It is the best blessing I have ever received. It was, and still remains, the most incredible experience of my whole life.
It was a long marriage, like 10 marriages in one.
It's Indian culture, right? It was like, we did Indian pre-wedding ceremonies. So there's a few days there. We did a Bali ceremony that our neighborhood organized for us, which was super beautiful. We then did an Indian and Christian ceremony on another day. So that was like the main event. And then the day after that, we did a Ubudian hippie tantric community celebration.
Let's go.
Between us, our friends, and it was about unifying the masculine and the feminine areas in us when we come into that union together.
What made you to get married? Because I know you were together for a while, so you don't have to get married, but you did. Why?
It's actually been a really interesting journey because for me, actually, I don't believe in the process of signing a document to be married to someone, to have the permission of a government, if for some reason you choose to change the nature of your relationship.
Yeah.
So that whole thing about giving your power away to involve a third party, that never resonated with me. And then because of that, the whole idea of marriage also wasn't something I was so keen on. But it was very clear to me that my now wife had this 4-year-old dream that she would have this beautiful big wedding celebration and it would be romantic, and I understood how important that was. And throughout the process, it felt to me like it was an act of service to her, and so I was going along with it for her until I went through the wedding myself.
How did it change you, I guess?
You just get held and supported, and you receive so many reflections from so many people that are blessing you and wishing you the best. So that's super powerful. My family flew to India for the wedding. So my entire family, my parents, my sisters, their husbands, their kids, they're all here with my wife's family also here. And so you have to understand this is probably one of the most intense experiences of my whole life as well, because you have all of the organization of creating this like week-long festival and holding that, while also holding family dynamics.
Yeah.
And meeting many different people and having to be available energetically, emotionally, with so many different things simultaneously. And so that level of intensity is also very transformational.
I can imagine.
If you're able, I feel like I was able to maintain a state of joy through the process. And so that level of intensity and the joy that I was experiencing and really connecting to why I choose this woman and going through these ceremonies that are all very powerful. Think about all the different cultures and traditions that we connected to in this process also. Yeah, it's really changed a lot.
I think if somebody can pull it off, as I said off camera, you are the guy who can pull it off. Because the one thing I know about you, you are constantly stoically nice and happy and composed and grounded. What is the trick?
I had a realization a few years ago that the most valuable thing that you can do is to keep your heart open, and that things will come up that will make you close. So you will get triggered into certain things and create certain ideas in your mind, and that will transform the way you feel in your body and the way you feel towards situations and people.
Yeah.
But the most valuable thing you can do is choose to open. And that is a choice that we all have. And there are tools that we can utilize that help us to open. But fundamentally, it just starts with a choice.
Well, what does open mean?
To relax, to feel. So when I'm irritated,
Yeah.
which happens as regularly as it would to many people,
Hard to believe, but okay. Carry on.
when that irritation comes on,
Yeah.
I am immediately being present with it. Even though I'm doing many other things at the same time, a percentage of my attention will be on that emotion.
Okay.
And I'll be feeling that emotion, and I'll be accepting that emotion, and I'll be relaxing my body and connecting to the sensations in my entire body and the space around me while I'm feeling the emotion. And so that gives it a space.
I was in Vipassana about 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and that actually something that I noticed that works very well for myself. So they teach you this equanimity where you are not running away from pain, but you're also not clinging to pleasure. And my problem is not pain. I'm okay with pain. I have a high pain tolerance, but clinging to pleasure is my problem. If something is pleasurable, I don't want it to stop, and I'm getting really anxious when it's about to stop. And then I was sitting there, and as you said, when you feel sensation and you feel happiness, and then if you abstract from it, it actually, you feel good anyway. Like you feel equanimously good if it's pain or it's happiness. But having that feeling that I felt meditating for 10 hours a day, every single day of my life, is very hard. So what do you do?
It's just creating regular time throughout the day, space throughout the day, to process, to connect back with your body, to relax, to open things. We will, through answering emails and having conversations with our loved ones,
we
will develop tension. Driving here from Ubud, driving an hour and a half in the car in Bali, will generate tension. And so it's important to take time throughout all of these micro stresses just to come back into equilibrium. And you can do that in 30 seconds. You can do it in 5 minutes. It really depends on how much space you have and how much tension you've accumulated in your mind or in your physical body.
Yeah.
But it's just so valuable to be able to take those moments to be consistently feeling into, actually, what do I need? Am I in discomfort right now? And taking time to really be with that discomfort can help me to respond in a different way.
Okay. I'm tying it to the fact that your life since we last spoke, which was about a year and a half ago, completely changed. Before, when we met, yes, you were a DJ and you were a coach, but the level of fame that you have now is completely different. And I know because before I didn't hear your name now, and I'm not in this community at all, but I hear your name over and over again from everywhere. So how do you deal with that? How did that change you? And what's a new challenge that came with, I guess you can call it the fame that you have right now?
I just love being in connection with people. I love to be able to reflect what I see in people. And so by being more available in community, by creating events and festivals and workshops, I guess that's what you're referring to, is that you're having many more opportunities to be around and available in my energy than we were when we first started our men's circle, which connected us. And so I feel like it's important for me when I do meet someone that I'm fully present with them. And so I guess it's that full presence and openness that I intend to approach each person that I meet with, that potentially has an impact that makes me someone that they remember that they met.
You are a doctor who became an ecstatic dance DJ, which is as weird as it gets. If you create like a weird movie, you can write a book about that. I'm a doctor, but I also became an ecstatic dance DJ.
One day.
That's a good title.
Available for book signings right now.
Yes. Guys, you should pre-order. Manish from Doctor to Ecstatic. Oh my God. So, what the fuck? Yeah, how? Why? How did you went from a doctor in London to jumping on an ecstatic dance almost naked and sharing ecstasy with thousands of other people in Bali?
Well, I bought my first set of turntables when I was 16. And I used to go in school, and I went to a very rough and unruly school in East London. And I would be at the front of the class in some of the lessons where people would really mess around. And I would convince the teacher that I would be able to play my CD
All right.
that I burnt from my computer in the class, because it would create some sort of focus and harmony. So then each week I would burn a new CD and I would play those tracks. And I guess that's kind of where it started in that way. And then when I was at university, I focused more on DJing. But when I started to do more inner work, and when I started to discover ecstatic dance, I realized that this space where everybody is sober, where there's no talking, where you're provided the opportunity to really be in connection with your emotions, and most things are accepted, like full expression. People can cry, people can be in very, very high states of emotion. That whole spectrum is welcome. I felt like this is actually really healing, and it was healing for me, because the first time I went and did ecstatic dance, I felt all of these different emotions. I felt insecure because I saw all these people that were free in their body and free in their expression, where I compared myself to them and felt I was not there. And I saw this community of people that were all having fun and connecting, and people dancing with each other, and I felt isolated from that, and I felt lonely, and I felt also like I'd made a achievement, and I'd moved forward by even choosing to be there and going there by myself. So that was in London, like 7 years ago.
Ecstatic dance in London.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
in London. Yeah. It was a guy called Benjamin Crystal, who's now here in Bali.
Wow.
That was my first ecstatic dance experience.
Full circle.
Yeah, we're making a track together now, so it's like, it really is full circle.
Yeah.
And so when I really felt like, okay, there's really some magic here, it was just something that I just got drawn into, because I'd been DJing for many years, and it was just step by step this process of creating more spaces. And I've been doing it for years now. There's like probably over 1,000 ecstatics that I've held, I guess, at some point over all that time. Maybe that's exaggeration, but many. And so it's been, a real labor of love for me.
But what has changed in this year? Okay, you held it before. For many years you did ecstatic dance.
Yeah.
But you can say go viral or blew up. I don't know how people name it when people become way more successful, like exponentially famous and more successful than before. What do you think changed in the last year? Probably my podcast, but apart from that, what else?
That was it. Yeah, we did the podcast, and then after that, it all blew up.
All the ecstatic people, like, okay,
They're like, wow,
he can talk. Let's go.
I've been living in Bali for 2.5 years now. It's really created that space for me to be continually showing up, and I feel like it's just a culmination of many different things. My continual transformation of how I feel in myself, feeling more confident to show myself and to be fully expressive, creating deeper relationships with people, and having wonderful friends that I can collaborate with, and having this really beautiful, supportive community of facilitators, of DJs, of event creators, and all amplifying each other's gifts.
I discussed it with Edu, but I'll discuss it with you, because I think you guys in some ways are similar, but some ways are polar opposites, which is cool. So I want to hear your opinion as well. And I'm going to talk from my own perspective, the same thing I shared before. I came to ecstatic dance for I was there 2 times. One time I didn't know what it is, which was good. Ignorance is bliss. So I came there, and I'm a boy born in Soviet Union, and I have a lot of trauma about self-expression. Period. This is I'm expressing myself the most I can.
You're doing amazingly well.
Yeah,
bro.
thank you for your support. What I'm saying is, so I'm standing there, I'm seeing, and I'm just gonna describe it for people who are coming from, let's say, the West, never been to ecstatic dance. Bunch of weird people. You think everybody is completely on drugs. but they are not. I mean, some of them are. And then half the people are naked, half the people lying on the floor, half the people touching each other in some weird ways. And you're like, what is happening? The music is also very strange. It's not your typical music. And I stay there in a corner and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And I feel shame and I feel I don't belong. I feel that everybody's weird, or am I weird? And it completely destroyed my confidence in myself. And I'm like, do I even belong? What would you say to somebody who experiences that as a doctor and as ecstatic dance teacher?
Do you want a hug? You having some existential crisis there on the dance floor, bro. I feel you.
Yeah.
Where was this?
A yoga barn.
Wow, that was a very, very saucy dance. I mean,
Is it? I mean, there's a level to that apparently.
yeah. I mean, I think that was probably that was the experience you needed. That was the pinnacle of what ecstatic dance can be, I guess.
Yeah.
I would say it as people are in society very rarely provided the space to be fully accepted in their expression. And so in these containers where it really is about radical acceptance and radical self-acceptance, that maybe people express to the limit because they have that capacity there where they feel otherwise in public they maybe don't.
Yeah.
And it's that process of being there with that discomfort or in the way other people are showing up and knowing that how you're choosing to show up is also perfectly fine for you.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
what comes to me right now, didn't came up with Edu, but I think my issue was that I was afraid of being judged. But essentially, ecstatic dance is when people don't judge each other, but I'm still super conscious about them still judging me.
Were you also judging some people?
And I'm judging them all. No, I'm judging them full on.
Yeah.
I'm like in a state of full judgment. But I think because I judge, I expect to be judged, right?
That's the mirror, yeah.
That sucks. So what are the next steps? What are steps of recovery to going back out of my trauma to ecstatic dance that could open my heart?
Well, the most valuable thing to do is that when you're there and you're having this emotional, psychological experience, that you take time to fully be with that. So this is also a thing I really love, is that if you don't feel like you like the song in that moment, or you don't necessarily want to be involved, you just go and sit on the side. You can go and lie down on the floor somewhere and you can just breathe and you can just relax your emotional story and you can just relax your body. And very likely with that process of being present with what's going on with you, that peak of like, wow, what is going on? What is my life? That will dissolve, and maybe a track comes on that you like, and then you feel like moving your body. And
But that's the thing. Yeah, I look at you now, like you're very composed and very, like we're in the same right now on this very similar level of frequency. Let's put it that way. And then I see the same guy just jumping on and off, and I'm like, I cannot do that. I can, but I don't feel. I don't know how to explain that. I don't feel I'm allowed by myself to do that, and you're completely free. So you're like both people in the same time, which is very strange.
I didn't live my whole life expressing myself like that.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, it's just like, yeah, I was a medical doctor in East London.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't do that.
You
I wouldn't
didn't do that with your patients and
No, I
put
wouldn't.
the track on. Like, let's go.
We would be at like I guess I use this as an example because, in Indian cultures there's a wedding and then there'll be like a party afterwards, and I would feel super uncomfortable about dancing. Like,
Okay.
I wouldn't feel like I'd enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
I would probably drink alcohol
Yeah.
to be able to feel like I could even approach that point in the experience.
Yeah.
And the same when I would go out at university would always be alcohol related. Like I drank a lot of alcohol at university to be able to do things like socialize on nights out and
Now we can relate.
dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, some of these things like alcohol and substances, they help people to relax that self-consciousness.
Yes.
And so it's like we're talking about these experiences because they're sober experiences. And so when we're sober, we don't have these substances to numb that story and numb those emotions. and so they can become predominant, which is why it's healing. Because when we choose to, like I said, the first time I went to ecstatic dance, I was like insecure, all of these very similar ideas that you shared,
Yeah.
I also experienced. And so it was a persistent journey and exploration. And sometimes now I'm DJing this like 200 people on the dance floor and I'm feeling insecure. And then I have to be present while I'm still doing my thing,
Yeah.
being present with that insecurity, because I know that when I'm enabling that to fully be processed, to fully be accepted and felt,
Yeah.
I'm going to be less insecure at the end of the day or the next time that I show up.
So it's like a muscle.
I'm chipping away at the reservoir.
Yeah.
And, less and less every time. And then more freedom in energy flow in my body and more freedom in my expression.
Yeah. I mean, I can only compare it to meditation when I was feeling pain over and over again for 3 days and it felt unbearable. At one point, I started absorbing it and the pain kind of went away. So I was like, I guess it's a muscle. I'm trained myself to drop deeper and to stop feeling the pain. So maybe if I not force myself, but allow myself to experience it more and more and more, at some point, it become more natural. And that allows me to go over some barrier that doesn't allow me to express myself fully.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's put it this way, right? When you're in pain, the default mode to respond to that pain is to resist.
Yes.
And resistance is contraction. And what contraction does is it creates tension,
Yeah.
and tension amplifies pain. When we accept, we relax. Even the pain is still there, we can just train ourselves to accept discomfort. And discomfort can be physical pain, but can also be emotional pain, can be fatigue.
Yeah.
And it's anything in the body that we're perceiving as undesirable. That acceptance flips it, and very often is the solution. And that you probably, that 3 days of being in pain, you surrendered.
Yes, for sure.
Well, like,
Well, there's no other way.
yeah, I'm here. It's 10 days. I know I'm not going to leave. So, right, anyway, fine. Oh,
yeah,
it's dissolving. Great.
I actually came to when I came there, I go until the end. Like, there's nothing can stop me. Like, I would die there. I would die on that floor. So
Yeah,
I was like, should I go home? I'm like, I have no home. I have no legs. I can't walk. I can only sit here. I'm an orphan. There's nothing else. So where would I go? I'm living in this monastery. Like, this is the thought. I'm like, we're not going home, guy. There's no home. I stayed for 10 days. I sit on the floor for the last 3 days.
No cushions?
No cushions.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was ego. I think it was ego, like looking back. But at some point, I was like, because everybody else started adding all the pillows and sitting on a chair.
Yeah.
But I decided that as a man, because I look at the men, they were sitting on a lot of chairs and the women were like straight. And I'm like, why are we so weak as a man? I need to prove myself that I can do it. So I sat on one cushion first. And it was excruciating pain. I mean, I was like really feeling bad that other people were sitting on a chair. I'm like, I really maybe would like to sit in a chair, but no, I'm going to sit on my pillow. But after 3 days, I'm fine with my pain, but they keep on adding and adding stuff. So actually, after 6 days, I just removed the pillows and I was just sitting on the floor. I was like, I don't need anything else.
Were you still in pain sitting on the floor?
No.
See,
That's fine.
there you go. That's
Yeah,
why
'cause I surrendered.
that's why I said ooh.
Yeah.
Because if you were able to sit on the floor without a cushion, it shows that you transformed the process of how pain is operating in your system to enable you to be actually comfortable in a situation that is probably still causing some discomfort. It's just not able to create an externality to create suffering.
Yeah. So, but I think the same would be maybe if I would go to ecstatic dances and slowly I would commit to do that. And then I would commit to not judge less, or just judge, whatever. Judge as much as you want, but just stay for an hour. Like Edu says, just come and stay in a corner. You'll get ecstasy. I'm like, I don't know, man. But he's like, just come, stay in a corner. He just tells me every week, just come, stay in a corner. I never do, but I will. I always promise I will, and I will. I think it's just going to do a little bit of that. It might help me to expand because I feel something is blocked. Like, why am I judging people? Why am I? What's wrong? It's not about them. It's about me.
Yeah.
Because they are a reflection of me. So I think it would be useful to just go more. Because you just stay in a corner and judge people until I don't.
You could go there and just do your hour of sitting meditation there, because just being in that environment will very likely bring up thought patterns and emotional blockages that you identify that are there.
Yeah.
And then you just do a sitting meditation. You're going to dissolve some of them, and maybe 5 weeks down the line, you feel like dancing.
I'm gonna
Maybe
be a
not.
DJ.
And then we train you to be a DJ. Yeah. And then I'll podcast you.
Yeah. And I'll DJ. Let's go. I like it. Okay. One thing I want to talk about, which is a system and how you were part of the big system and now you're outside of a system, which is very interesting. Not a lot of people do it. And you call it in your social media that it's a path to freedom. So you went from being a doctor in a system in UK to being, you're still a doctor, right? So assume, as far as I know, the doctors have to, let's say, prescribe things that the system asks you to prescribe, even though you might not believe in them.
There are guidelines that you're recommended to follow. The way that I operate is I give my patients full autonomy and I use communication in supporting them. So I prescribe if the person that I'm supporting chooses to receive a prescription medication, and that will be one of the options that I share with them. I will, if they want me to, if they're open to receive, share my opinion on what I feel the best option is and why that's the best option. And so when you fully inform someone of the variety of options, the pros, the cons, the benefits of what you feel would support them the most, and then they make a choice, even if that you like, hey, I feel like you should meditate for your anxiety and do breath work, and they say, you know what, I'm like super anxious and I really want the pharmaceutical medication, then you know that that's that person's right. And I'm happily prescribing for people that have that choice.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you have this like attachment to like, hey, I know what can help you, and I want to just, I share this and you choose something else. Oh my gosh. And it's like, okay, it's not about me. So that I've had that in the past. But now it's like, no, this is about you. So you want this, so let's do it for you.
But is your first choice a holistic or is your first choice a medicine?
In most cases, it's holistic. It really depends on the condition that they're presenting with and how much understanding and experience I have with managing it holistically, because it has to come from experience for me to be able to advocate something for someone, because pharmaceutical medications, they do work. They just often don't get to the root cause, which is why I choose holistic medicine to get to the root cause. However, we have to identify what the root cause is, and often it's not one thing, it's many different things, and a combination of them will very often provide the person healing.
What about for yourself, like when you're sick?
Yeah, I don't take...
You don't take medicine?
No, I don't.
Yeah, but then the people who are attracted to you are also more on the holistic side, I guess.
Yeah, but it varies. I still do 8 hours a week working for patients in the UK as a general practitioner.
Okay.
So there, it's a variety. They're actually not coming to me because I'm holistic.
Oh, really?
And I'm meeting them and I'm working with them privately, but I'm supporting them with a variety of options. And very often it's, hey, I want a medication and I want a referral to a specialist who's going to do a surgery. Okay, yeah, for sure. Let me do that for you right away. Interesting.
But you don't have any moral dilemma? That like, I don't really believe this is the best for you, but I'm just going to prescribe it for you?
Because it's autonomy. It's like, it's not what I feel they want, because it's like so many of these things actually need effort. And if you're not available to put in that effort to change your diet, to start exercising and move your body, to meditating every day, to changing the way that you breathe, to changing your personal relationships in the people around you who you're spending your time with and these kinds of things, then you really should take the pharmaceutical medication, because, hey, that will actually help you.
Yeah, I mean, help alleviate the pain, but don't help solve the problem.
It depends what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I had appendicitis and I went to a doctor. I didn't even call you. I am going to the surgery.
Yeah.
Right away.
It depends, right? Because lowering blood pressure is going to reduce your risk of having a stroke.
Yeah.
So if you take a medication that will lower someone's blood pressure, there's a significantly lower chance that they will have a stroke.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, you could practice meditation every day and your blood pressure will go down, and that would have a more beneficial impact because you will be less in the fight or flight nervous system, and that will be less likely to reduce many other factors that are actually contributing to risk of these things happening. But if you're someone who won't do that, I would much rather you take a medication because you have a low risk of having a stroke.
I assume also people come to a doctor when it's too late. So when you're already in pain. So if I'm in pain and you're telling me just go sit meditate, I'm like, fuck you, I'm in pain. I really have pain right now. I need my pain to go away. So no matter what you say, it's like my pain needs to go away right now. That's why I came to you.
Yeah.
So the only way to do it immediately for a non-trained person is to take the pill.
And that's why I'm always also making the space to explain what I feel holistically would benefit. Even if someone chooses to go down a allopathic medical route by taking medication, even if they don't choose to act on the information I'm sharing with them, it's planted a seed. And so I never know what impact just that conversation where I'm sharing information, what that will have with someone 6 months or 5 years down the line, where they watch a YouTube video and they have the same information and they've already tried one option that didn't work for them.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, actually. So I'm not necessarily, my aim is not to share for my own benefit and to consistently treat it as me being in service to this person and how can I support them in the highest way.
If you would live in London right now, would that be as easy for you to do that? Because I feel that it's an interest of the people who are producing the medication for you to prescribe medication and not to give holistic. So I assume that holistic is not very, very popular in the traditional medicinal circles.
Yeah, it would still be possible for me to do that because the way that I would essentially cover myself for working in this way, the way I do, is through communication. It's like I gave you the range of options and you chose. And so I just make it clear that that was what happened. And so therefore, if a patient chooses what they want to receive, then it's not down to me when I gave them a full range of options.
I'm very confused in regards to that. I'm getting more and more connected with myself, understanding that, let's say, in this Vipassana retreat was very nice when I felt the pain and I disassociate from the pain went away. But if I'm not trained to do that, if I didn't spend 3-4 days doing that, if I would be in that pain, I would need to take something because otherwise I just go crazy. I also don't know about side effects. So those medications have side effects. Right now, I don't take anything, even caffeine. So if you give me a medication, I would get high. Like I take Panadol, I would just get high. And I remember I had this appendicitis and they gave me opiums. And I'm like, I like it. It's really nice. But I think I'm getting a little bit of addicted of this. So I'm like, and he's like giving me home. He's like, take it. I'm like, and I was lying down and they give me two versions. One is like Panadol kind of thing. And one is like opium based. And opium based is really nice. But at one point I'm like, I should not take it anymore because this is too nice. And I'm like, but I have a good sense of self-control. Somebody else would just get addicted as fuck and then it would derail their whole life, which happens a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it might be on these doctors actually fault for them to prescribing me that. But because the rules are around you sign a paper that they don't take any responsibility, I cannot even claim that. But how many lives are just broken because doctors are giving people really strong medication that people can't get out of?
Yeah, a lot. And it depends where you are in the world. I feel like in the UK, we are less excited to prescribe opiates.
Yeah.
In the US, they seem very excited to prescribe opiates. And
I wonder why. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole load of reasons why.
I had Aaron here who had like a crazy accident, motorbike accident. He was saying he was in Bali and he was a drug addict. So he said, I'm a drug addict. don't give me any drugs. And they started giving him ketamine, anesthesia, and he started tripping, and he's like, I remember this and I'm getting addicted again. Don't do that. And they're like, well, this is the only one we have.
Yeah.
And you're like, you can tell them that, please don't do that. I have an addiction. And they just,
Yeah. The doctors in Bali also, and I find in a lot of like Asian countries, they tend to overprescribe.
yeah.
So, you have a rash and they're giving you oral steroids.
But what do you think that is? Why? Just to solve the problem, go away?
Yeah, I think it's more of a confidence in wanting to provide a result that actually solves the issue, because it's a private system, so they really want to make sure that it works. So they treat you with everything that they think that they can give you that will provide a solution, is what I imagine is going on.
But it's also like they don't want confrontation. They want me to come back and say like this shit doesn't work. So they like just take that and it's gonna help, and it's like a sure method and we don't care. Because I notice here as a culture they have issues with a long-term decision making. If there's a good deal on the table, they'll take the good deal. It's very common amongst especially countries that are not as developed, let's say, when they don't have a long-term planning and thinking. When economy goes up and down, like who would think long-term? So I think that permeates everywhere. Same as in medicine. You're like, here's the pill, take a pill, go away, it's going to be fine.
Well, the good thing about being trained in the UK is that we have a national health system, so we are persistently trained to save money.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't want to prescribe you a whole load of things when we could be very, very focused and specific. And so I feel like I am a lot less, even when I'm supporting someone who does want pharmaceuticals, a lot less trigger happy with giving them a whole pharmacy to take home.
All right, let's stop talking about pills. Wild post that you had that made you 50,000 followers or something. It was about neuroplasticity, how your brain can change the way your body is.
So we are constantly able to change the pathways in our brain. So if we consistently operate in a certain way, we will reinforce connections between the brain, so if it's an emotional response that we consistently feel insecure, whenever we have those thoughts, it will trigger the same pathways in the brain, and the more we do that, the stronger they get. But we have the ability to write new pathways. And so when we are able to change our focus, when we are to use these practices like meditation or visualization, we are essentially tricking the mind. Visualization, for example, tricks the mind into thinking it's having an experience. When we are seeing pictures, either by watching television or by seeing them in our mind, we are creating the same response in the neurochemicals, in the neuropeptides that trigger emotions in the body, and that is creating new pathways in the brain. So when we are reinforcing habits, we strengthen neuroplastic channels, and when we are creating new ones, we are creating new neuroplastic channels.
Yeah. One of the examples he gives there is an athlete who, before doing something, the NASCAR drivers do it all the time. They would just go and they think about the course and what they would do. I think that will work if you're a top level elite athlete. If Anatoly is want to play better paddle, which is my hobby of late, I can visualize as much as I want how amazing I am at receiving the ball and doing all kinds of things. Until I practice it over and over again, nothing's going to change. So it might sound like from that post that if I just sit over and over again, days in and day out, and do it as if I really trained, but I don't think it's going to work.
So the point that I made in that post is based on a study, and that study showed that people were able to change their bicep strength through visualization, but they weren't athletes. So my belief is that we are able to trigger changes in our, I mean, we're talking physically about physical attributes here.
Okay.
But I feel like we could change our muscular strength through visualization and not be an athlete. It just may be more valuable for an athlete to do it, because it's specifically, you know, if you're a basketball player and you want to jump higher and you're consistently visualizing like jumping, there's like, if you do that right now, like just imagine that you are jumping.
Okay.
Do you feel like there's more energy going to your calves?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the process.
Well, what about the actual point of like how the muscle atrophy? Like you go and then you make a movement, but if you don't make a movement, then the muscles are not growing, but they are.
Well, so based on that study, that people, I mean, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head now, but there are a few different ones. One is people that are in a cast and they check their bicep strength before, and they check their bicep strength afterwards, and they have people that are in a cast that visualize and people that are in a cast that don't visualize, and they show that the people that are in a cast that do visualize maintain more of their bicep strength. But they also have people that visualize doing bicep curls versus people that did bicep curls and people that did nothing, and the people that did the bicep curls and visualized. And so net gain was with bicep curls and visualization. That was the most. So fundamentally, I'm definitely not saying to anyone, don't do any physical exercise. Just sit there and do it in your mind, and that will be the most effective. No, we have to combine it with real world activity if we really want to get a goal achieved. But the people that just visualized had an increase versus the control that had no change.
I mean, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it a lot. He had an accident and then he would lie down paralyzed and he would reconstruct his spine. Which, again, you don't know what you don't know, but it seemed like it works. But on the other end, my judging Anatoly saying, there's a lot of people who listen to this and it justifies for doing nothing. It's just like, I'm just going to sit down and I'm just going to visualize having this house or having this girl, having that. And this is going to happen. And why is it not happening? I'm visualizing every day and nothing's working.
So, you know, you made a reference about how significant my outer experience has changed in life. It's fundamentally down to these things that I'm sharing, is that I'm practicing them also. And it's like visualization is one part of it, but it's not really about the visualization. It's about the energy and the emotion that you're cultivating. The energy and the emotion is much more powerful. The visualization is a gateway into cultivating that. So when you're consistently making it clear what you want to experience in your life and consistently generating the feeling in your body as if you are experiencing it, your circumstances will change. Because that's how we feed back to life as to what we choose to experience.
So as a person who, I assume, changed your energy based on the fact that you were a doctor that was afraid of ecstatic dance, and now you're ecstatic dance teacher, doctor. I cannot stop saying that. It just sounds so good. I'm a marketing guy. It works, man. We'll do something around that soon. So, lost my thought. But anyway, so for somebody sitting there right now listening to us and saying, I just don't know, I don't have energy. And I actually in the same boat. A lot of time right now, I'm not. But most of the time, I just don't have energy. It's just like we wake up and it's just like grudge, like blah, blah, blah. So what advice can you give for people to start changing their chemistry so they have a consistent energy in their life to do things that matter?
When we are in a specific emotional state, so we have a range, so we could say low and high. High would be love, gratitude, appreciation. Low would be rage, judgment, anger. The best way to maintain a high energy state is by, when we go into those lower energy states, we do what I shared at the beginning, that we take time to fully feel them and accept them, and we actually we honor them, because then, number one, they don't come up as frequently unconsciously, and number two is that we maintain more space to be able to maintain these higher frequency states. So the more often that we are just living our lives in a state of gratitude, the more easeful and more likely is that the things that we are visualizing and intending and like journaling about and vision boarding, those things will come to us.
Okay, so let's say I'm asking because I'm a very practical person.
Okay.
People will listen, they're like, okay, he's saying that I need to feel it. Like, how do I feel? Like, if I don't know how to feel, so let's say I'm feeling angry. At that stage when I'm feeling angry,
Yeah.
which most people are,
Yeah.
actually now after Vipassana, side note, I
Yeah.
have like this space in my head after 10 days of meditation where I'm like thinking, oh, I'm angry, and then I'm becoming angry, which is beauty. But usually 90% of people, including myself before that, just get angry. And when
Yeah.
you're angry or angry, you're just raging.
Yeah.
So it's very hard. What would be the exercise I do to sit down, feel it, appreciate it, realize it, and then it goes away?
Yeah. So the first step is that you acknowledge where you're at. So you already recognize, oh, I'm angry right now. So you could then from that state be fully raging, right? And you're like shouting at your dog.
Yeah.
I don't think you have a dog. I just adopted a puppy.
You don't like dogs, do you?
I really do now. So you're raging, right? It's really important to introduce a pattern interrupt to stop you from acting unconsciously. If you are someone who really goes into very high states of anger,
Yeah.
go and wash your face with cold water. Go and take yourself out of the room. Go and sit down. Take a deep breath. That's a pattern interrupt. So you're immediately stopping yourself from continuing down a route that previously you would have no control over stopping. And that, at the beginning, may take a few attempts. But then if you're introducing a pattern interrupt every time, already you're breaking these pathways of operating in a same conditioned way. Maybe you operate like that because your parents used to rage at you and used to operate like that. So you learned that that's a behavior that's acceptable and appropriate. So now you've done the pattern interrupt. Where in your body do you feel the anger? So quite often anger can be here.
I feel it here. It's like a heat sensation coming through the lungs.
Right. So can also be in the solar plexus, can also be in the head. Sometimes people feel like their head is going to explode because they feel so angry. And so you've done your pattern interrupt. You've taken yourself out of the space.
Yeah.
You're now sitting in a room where you're no longer in the vicinity of the situation that caused you to feel anger. Helpful if you want to close your eyes because that brings your attention inward. You want to feel your breath and you just want to allow the breath to slow, to soften. Because the breath is an amazing way to communicate to the nervous system. When we're angry, we're just activating the fight or flight nervous system. If you want to fight someone, so you just allow the breath by being present with it to become softer.
Okay.
And you feel that ball of rage. You feel that fire. And you accept yourself for feeling angry. Because
Well, what does accept mean? What do you say to yourself? It's okay? Or
well, what would be not accepting is this fire is burning in my chest, and I'm either judging myself for being angry, or I'm continuing to generate the thoughts that are making me pissed off.
Yes.
Right? So it's like you're angry at the dog because he peed on your sofa, and then you're continuing to generate psychological thoughts of how that dog is so disrespectful and naughty and all these things.
Yeah.
So the first thing you do is you just, once you're there in that space and your eyes are closed and you've softened your breath, is you let go of all the stories, right? You come into the present moment.
Yeah.
And then by feeling the emotion, you are accepting it. Because the other idea is that you're resisting it. Just like you were saying about the pain in Vipassana, that you were kind of like contracting when the pain was really there. When you actually accepted it, you relaxed. So you allow it to be there. It's welcome. You're not trying to make it go away.
Well, this is very hard. I just want to point out, because I tried that for 3 days, because essentially you start from the crown and your pain is in your back. And he's like, just ignore your pain in your back, just start with the crown. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing. I'm going to pass out now. It hurts so much. Yeah. I'm sweating through the back of my neck. Yeah. And the pain is there in 5 places. Ignoring the pain is very, very hard. But it's like a switch that happens when you're like, now I understand what he meant. You're not ignoring it. You just, it is what it is. You just accept it. What you said. It's
Yeah.
not ignoring. It's just like, well, I'm having pain now.
But what I'm sharing is actually doing the opposite, that you go directly into the discomfort. And so when you're there, being present with the discomfort, allowing it to be there, allowing it to fill your whole body if that's what it wants to do.
Yeah.
So instead of this ball of fire that's like in your chest, with that softness and that acceptance, it's able to move. And so now, instead of being this ball of fire that's here, that's really intense, now it's like here, it's filled your chest, but your breath is gentle.
Okay.
And with that openness, with that expansion of the emotion that comes with the acceptance, it's gradually, over time, it will dissolve. But the important part is that you're not trying to make it dissolve, you're just trying to be with it.
Okay.
And that's how we chip away at that reservoir of energy that's going to consistently come up in our lives if we're not approaching it in this way of softness and acceptance.
Were you always like that?
No, for sure not.
So you were raging at people and...
Oh, yeah, I used to drive to work 100 miles an hour. I used to be road rage, like pissed off with people.
Yeah.
Like I would live my entire life in fight or flight, working in accident emergency where everything is like, now must like, and I would just be like that the whole time.
Yeah. Wow.
And for me back then, it was really challenging. And that's why I started this path.
Yeah. I found when I have kids, this is why dog situation I don't resonate at all, because this is the least that can happen. If the dog pees on my sofa, I'm like, let's go. Just pee more. I didn't even see it. I just passed by. Because this is the least. But then there is things where you're really tired and like screaming. Even just the sound that is very, very uncomfortable over and over again. Right now they're older, but the young kids are just screaming, something hurts, and you're like, oh my God, who's going to stop? And then you start to go really down the rabbit hole. You're just like, is that my life? This is going to be forever? What I'm going to do? And I think a lot of people are in this situation because they feel that there is no way out. Even if there is a way out, there can be a door right there, but you're so in your own shit that you're like, oh my God, there's no way out. And so it's very hard to like, okay, what am I accepting? And then you have like thoughts that are not your thoughts. I'm like, I'm a useless piece of shit. No, I'm not. It's just a thought that came to me because I'm trying to process what's happening and I'm trying to put a blame so I feel better, but blame doesn't work. Now I feel one worse. That's how most people operate. No? That's very, very destructive.
It's really, really valuable to take time to be with the discomfort that comes up. So that could be, I'm having this like long-term back pain.
Yeah.
So your body is giving you a message. Something is out of balance. So taking time to fully address that. I'm in an experiment at the moment.
Okay.
Because 2 months ago, I checked in, and as much as I'm having these experiences that you're mentioning that give me gratification, I'm happy that they're happening. I'm enjoying them in the moment because they're my passions.
Yeah.
But when I looked into it as a overview, joy wasn't a persistent experience for me.
Okay.
I would say that I was persistently content, very equanimous.
Yeah.
But joy, not so much.
I see.
And so the reason I feel like that was the case is because I was doing too much.
Yeah.
Because I was consistently busy with different things, and I was not allowing myself to do things like spend time with friends.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like, oh, how can I spend time with these people when I need to be doing these other things that I'm really driven by and provide me lots of value, you know? It's like, it's been like that my entire life, going to school, doing exams, going to medical school, going this and doing this and making this achievement. And it's like that way of operating followed me also here. So I'm living in Bali, which is a very flowy place where there's a lot of space and a lot of opportunity for social interactions and beautiful things. But I was still going and operating in that same very focused way.
Yeah.
And feeling like I could be more joyful by creating more balance. So my experiment now is that I'm taking some tasks off of my plate.
Yeah.
I'm creating more space within the day so that I can rest. I took 6 weeks off for fully focusing on my wedding, fully focusing on my family, where I really wasn't doing so much, like 80% off my schedule. So that's what I'm aiming to continue to do to the end of the year. And seeing that by honoring and providing myself with the things that I feel will create more joy, whether I will get more accomplishments experienced because my baseline vibration energy level will be higher. And I perceive that when we are in a higher emotional state, we attract experiences to us effortlessly.
100%. Now, to be in this state requires effort, to me. Like, I cannot just be in a high vibration state by giving up. Like, if I give up and I say, let the life show me where it needs to be, I'm going to eat cakes. And I'm going to be lying down and watching some useless cat videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And in the end, I'm just going to do nothing, and then I'm going to feel like shit. So for me, like, the work is not really work.
Yeah.
Like, this is no work.
Yeah.
This is like pleasure.
Yeah.
And most of my day today and rest of my days are just pleasure. But somehow it weaves in the work. So I think I don't feel like I'm tired. I feel like every day I wake up, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm meeting Manish today. We're going to talk about ecstatic DJ doctor stuff. What can get better than that? So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think when I start to do things that I have to do, then it's a problem. Sort of, I think the hack is to do more. Just your day, your accomplishments are just part of you.
Mm-hmm.
You are your accomplishment. Like, I go, I meet people, I bring them value. I'm happy, they're happy, where everything else comes. That's hard to do, but I think it goes up more and more. So I think that maybe that's what you're talking about as well. So if you have to organize things, but you don't really want to do it, but you have to, and you're always busy, then it's a problem. Then you're tired. But if you're just flowing through, just doing amazing stuff all day, and it's kind of productive, that's bad.
I mean, right now I'm learning how to rest because that's actually something that I never learned.
Okay. How do you rest?
Well, for me, very valuable is just to lay down and breathe and just to like relax my body.
Yeah.
To go into nature, spend time in nature.
Okay.
It's just really important not to like watch cat videos on YouTube.
No.
And like to do these things that we're very used to, like entertaining our brains by receiving more information and having time to be.
Yeah.
And so that actually, when you first start, is a little bit uncomfortable. At least for me it was.
For sure. For me, it's very uncomfortable. I go somewhere without a Wi-Fi, and I'm like, even in Vipassana, I went, I'm like, oh, shit can happen. 10 days. I'm not there. I don't know what's going to happen. I've never been so long away from my business and all this stuff, but nothing happened.
Yeah.
There's no emails, nothing. The WhatsApp loaded for like 5 minutes. You know how it's like, dun, 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 dun. So I'm like, I'm just going to archive it all. We'll check later. If you're watching it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if I haven't responded to you yet, I will.
Yeah, I will someday. Amazing. So what is next for Manish?
I desire to have more of a widespread impact in supporting people.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm consistently showing up here in Bali. And so to continue to do that, have a wider reach online, and to travel and to create experiences for people as I travel.
Nice.
I just finished building a house here and just got married, so it feels like those are really important steps for me to feel fully grounded.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in the integration of that, which is why the space and the rest, because I feel like it's really important to integrate from very significant life events.
100%.
Then I feel like I can create the space to take the next summit.
Amazing. The last question I want to ask somebody who is watching. A lot of people come to Bali to have life of freedom, and 99% of them don't. So you're one of the rare examples who came here and you are having this life. You're changing yourself, you're changing world around you, you're supporting lots of people, you're serving in a beautiful way. For somebody who is watching and they're like, I want to learn something from Manish, and I also want to have life of freedom, be in a path at least to freedom, whatever it is. What advice can you give?
Trust yourself. It really is about trusting in your ability to make changes in your life. We all have these ideas and these desires, and if you never approach them, you won't ever have them.
Yeah.
Like leaving the UK was like 5 years ago, was a significant thing because I was having a good time there.
Yeah.
Like everything was going well. I was having wonderful experiences, but I had a very strong feeling that needed to happen. And so I needed to trust myself. And it was scary.
Yes.
It was one of the most fear-inducing experiences that I ever had. However, as a result of that, my relationship with fear is very different. And so when we move towards fear and we realize fear is safe,
Yeah.
we can experience our wildest dreams and
You're
desires.
expanding. Yeah. Once you know you can move to Bali and still be okay, then you can move anywhere and still be okay. It's like world is yours.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was a year and a half of traveling and moving to different places, and it feels like here actually is a really beautiful,
I mean,
much more nourishing, nurturing place to be.
Yeah, and I mean, you're doing amazing thing here. Very, very proud to see how you evolve and happy to see you on the path. Congratulations.
Thank you for the invitation, bro.
It's always a
Looking
pleasure.
forward to 3.0.
3.0. It might be an ecstatic podcast.
On the ecstatic dance floor.
Like and subscribe, and you'll see me you'll see me lying down in some ecstatic dance on the floor or not. See you guys later. Bye bye.